Hello, friends. My name is David Steele, and welcome to Real Talks, where every movie I talk about, new or old, generates a conversation. Join me in the cinematic journey as I turn back the clock and talk about one of the greatest or one of the worst films of all time. And we're going to be talking about a movie here today that's 30 years old. Um, I actually did this earlier. I couldn't find my notes, so we're going to do it again right. I'm talking about Street Fighter. This movie was so a little bit of backstory. First and foremost, this movie was done back all the way back in 1994. Uh, Hard to believe it's been 30 years. We had some really good movies come out that year, like Quiz Show and Pulp Fiction and Shawshank Redemption, but we had some really bad movies. And this was one of those really, really bad movies. Um, and even from the get go, like, so every single movie, I enjoy watching trailers, right? And I love watching the trailers for to get me hyped for the movie. And this movie, this was no different. I watched it, and I couldn't believe how corny the actual trailer was. And it was a different time I got at that, but it was still crazy. But yeah, so the two main stars here, okay, are going to be Raul Julia and John Claude Van Damme. Now, a little bit of backstory about the actual movie. The budget of this film was only $35 million, and Van Damme himself actually got $8 million from that 35 million. So there wasn't a lot for other big name actors. So the cast that you see here, okay, are basically no names. They did the best they could, and because they had so many people to cast. So I will say one thing: in this movie, they were able to get pretty much all of the characters you wanted um, in the movie. So, on the far left, you had E Honda, you had Ken, okay, you had Balrog in the back, you had Zangief, you have, of course, Jean-Claude Van Damme, who's played Ryu, okay, uh, Chung Li, Ken, and then so that was good to see. But this movie was just so bad on so many different levels. So even in the first 15 minutes, we're introduced to everybody, okay, which is fine. Um, but it's one of those things where, this is so corny because it's, so good. Um, so Blanco. So M. Bison, okay, everybody. So that was the big draw, okay. M. Bison was played by Raul Julia, and he signed up for this movie because his kids wanted him to do it. And so that being said, so he was at a point in his life where he was very, very, very ill. Okay, he eventually died of cancer, and Capcom had plans that they were going to do a sequel. And anybody who's watched the movie and anybody who's watched all the end credit scene, okay, there was a computer, okay, and so it was just a replay, and they were going to do the whole thing all over again, make Street Fighter 2. That never happened because, of course, Julie died. What did end up happening, however, is that he played the role as well as he could have. Okay, and this was directed by Steven D'Souza. Okay, who actually, believe it or not, guys, he actually wrote some really. I mean, he wrote Die Hard. He wrote 48 Hours. He actually wrote the the sequel to the what is it? One of the sequels. Oh, for Laura Croft. So he wrote Laura Croft, the Tomb Raider, the Cradle of Life sequel. So he wrote some pretty good films. Okay, relatively speaking, but this was just according to things that have been said and everything else. He wrote this overnight. The first draft was written overnight, and you can definitely see why. Okay, so Capcom was the major financer. Okay, and so they wanted a December 1994 release for this, which basically had the whole cast to have an aggressive um, shooting schedule, principal photography, and everything else. Okay, Um, Principal photography, I want to say, took close to 40 days. Okay. And so, that being said, what they were going to do, the original plan, okay, was to shoot all of the Julia stuff last. But because of the aggression of his cancer, okay, and because it was so far reaching, they did all that stuff first. Now, they mainly shot, okay, they mainly filmed in Thailand for the backdrops, and um, it was one of the places where they filmed, okay, and Brisbane, Australia. So basically, that was the two on sound stages and in Thailand. And so what ended up happening was they had to switch the um, this, as I said, they had to switch the styles because of Julia's um, aggressive disease. This movie for its time was pretty enjoyable, but not one of Van Damme's best, but still pretty good. I remember watching it on TV and thinking, this is insane, and yet for its time, it was great. Yeah, it really was, Antonius. Um, for the time, and you have to remember something. So D'Souza actually was trying to learn, and Capcom was trying to learn from the debacle that was Super Mario Brothers. And they didn't want, so one of the main things for him, for D'Souza, which by the way, he directed this as well, he said he wanted to have time to, because it was a martial arts film, he wanted to bring in the best kind of trainers and everything else. But you know, he didn't want a generic film. He didn't want a generic martial arts film. So it was a cross, as he put it, a cross between Star Wars, James Bond, and a war film. Um, but he didn't want any supernatural power because look, every single one of these individuals, they have powers, and so I mean, because let's face it, this is based off of the video game. I mean, this is, so Capcom was really trying to, but they didn't want that. So they wanted more of a, I guess you would call grounded version. That being said, though, it was one of those things where I think that still it was crazy. So they tried to do this. And yeah, so those were the two locations that they shot, Brisbane and Thailand. Um, but the dialogue was so bad. And what do I mean? So there's a scene where Sagat, okay, basically says, this is, so he's talking to Guile. He's like, this isn't over, Guile. I own the city. And basically, Jean-Claude Van Damme comes back and says, well, I'm the repo man. I mean, it's just so corny, but you have so much fun with it. And that's what you have to do if you're going to have, you know, um, this kind of enjoyment with it. So instead of the UN, it was the AN, right? Those were the freedom fighters going to fight for everybody. Um, but once again, like I said, Julia, by this point, he didn't care. What I mean by that is he was a well-known actor. Okay, he was a professional, but he was so ill that he only did what he could, and he only did what he could with the material given to him. So you had Ken and Ryu, okay, who were drug smugglers, basically try and get into, Sagat's organization with M. Bison and Zangief and everything else. This was Raul Julia's final film, too, right? Yes, it was. I read that he passed away during production or after. I remember there was a sequel about 15 years ago in 2009, but it was so bad. It was. So you're referring to the Legend of Chung Li, okay? You are referring to the Legend of Chung Li, and it was bad. It was really, really bad. So they were going to do a sequel, like I said. Okay, so if you watch the movie all the way through, and then you watch after the end credit scene, that's what came up. So like you saw the wreckage, and then the computer rebooted, and that's what they were going to do. But unfortunately, it never happened. Now, supposedly, there is Legendary, okay? Legendary Entertainment, the one that's done Kong versus Godzilla and everything else, they actually acquired the film rights to Street Fighter, and they've begun to work on a new live action film. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, because they have so many other things. But nonetheless, it's one of those things where Chun-Li was so bad. It really was so bad. I'm not going to bore everybody with the plot because everybody knows what the plot is, right? All the superheroes are, all the heroes have to basically try to stop M. Bison. So Blanca, he's made Blanca this, who is Guile's former friend, his super villain, if you will, to try and actually take over the world. So there were a lot of different plots with a lot of different characters and everything else. So, it was interesting because Capcom did try to put some Easter eggs in it. Okay. For example, on one of the barrels, it did say Capcom. So they were trying to do that. Once again, you only have a $35 million budget. But you could definitely tell, like, the stormtroopers that Bison had throughout his, in his army were definitely based off of and he even said that it was partially based off of Star Wars and how that was done, from the outfits. The floating platform. I mean, this just tells you, like, they had to, so you see Bison there is on this floating platform that gives him, he gets on and controls to make it look like in the video game, with the controllers all in the background when he's trying to blow things up. And the background is the map of the world. So he's trying to do that. It was interesting. Like, they try to incorporate things like that. That's funny, when the big battle's going on, right? And then you hear over the loudspeaker, which, by the way, the announcer was British. So there you go, right? While people are dying all around, you hear, "Attention, maintain your healthcare benefits. Maintaining your health benefits is your responsibility." I mean, it's one of those oxymoron things. You have people dying and they're talking about healthcare. It's just hilarious. But it's just, it was a fun time. It was corny. It had comic book elements to it, but it was, for a video game adaptation, it wasn't bad. And I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. And the thing is that you have to have fun when you're doing these type of movies, right? And I mean, it's just, to think that this is, going back to one of your other comments, it really was crazy. It was a different time back then, and I got that. But when you look at, like, what's become of it, okay? Because everybody knows about the video game, right? But they actually tried to, when I say they, I mean Capcom, they actually tried to do a video game based off of their own type of movie, right? And it was a disaster. Yeah, but the merchandising, look, this actually made money for Capcom. And so what ended up happening was the film earned, when we talk about money, the film earned $3.1 million in its opening day and went on to gross $9.5 million for its opening weekend, only ranking third, only behind Dumb and Dumber and Santa Claus at the box office. On its second week, okay, it grossed $7 million. And it grossed $7 million and was dropped down to number 7. It ended up grossing $33.5 million here in the domestic and 66 in the international. So it made almost $100 million worldwide. So when you're talking about films that actually make money, that's not even the merchandising, okay? The merchandising for it, okay, with home media, it ended up making another between home video releases and television broadcasts and everything, made 160. So this movie made almost $265 million, and it was bad. So you can imagine what would have been good if they could have put it together. I think after the success of Mortal Kombat, they'll definitely try and reboot this film and modernize it to make it as good as possible so it can work, which makes sense, of course. Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind. I have no doubt. You're absolutely right. I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to try and um, put something together that is a comic book element type of film, get some big names in there, and not make it as corny. I don't. So there's two ways they can go with this. Okay, they can either go the way of make it corny, like we did, which I don't think they will. Okay, I mean, if the first draft was written overnight, you can only imagine, how bad it was. Or they can make it hard edged. I would like to see. So speaking of ratings, it's interesting because the very first rating that this got was actually rejected by the MPAA gave the very first submitted cut of this film a rated R classification, which was highly unacceptable for Capcom, which is slated, and they wanted a PG-13 film from the very go. After various cuts were making a G film, and then they bumped it to PG, and the film was was bumped up to PG-13 with the addition of an expletive in post-production. The post-credit scene where Bison is revived. Okay, the one I was just referring to, this scene here, this was actually omitted from the theatrical release, quote, out of deterrence or out of deferential to Raul Julia, end quote, but was retained for the home video and DVD. So that's interesting. That being said, I think that they could look. I think if they make a video or a movie about this again, I think they'd want to make it more hard edged. I really do, because that's what it is. Because don't forget, you brought up Mortal Kombat. And Mortal Kombat was right around the same time, and even you think about what else was around that time, right? You had films like Double Dragon. You had like the video game Streets of Fire. You had a couple of other games. Tekken was just starting to make its way around. So I think that would be interesting too. I mean, but yeah, I absolutely believe that you're going to see. You're right about they're going to try and remake this because that's what that's what Hollywood tries to do. I remember seeing the film back in the day on my local video store in a special edition DVD alongside Universal Soldier: The Return. Those were the cool rental days for us. Yeah, I love going to the video store. I love going to the video store. Hollywood Video, Blockbuster Video. It was so much fun because you go there every Tuesday because that's when the videos got released, and then you go pick up the latest greatest new thing, and you could do video games and everything else. But no, I love those days of, and I think Blockbuster, if they were to come back today, they would really succeed. They do. I would think that. So, but I do remember that. But this movie in itself, it's a gem in itself. It's so bad, it's good. I mean, there are a couple other films out there but what blows my mind is that Jean-Claude Van Damme got $8 million for this movie. It got $8 million of the $35 million budget. So nearly, a quarter of it was already taken by his salary. I don't know how much Julia got, but it's interesting to even think about. So now that we know how bad the movie was, let's talk about real quick. Let's talk about the so we talked about the box office. Let's talk about the critical acclaim real quick, because this is important to a certain extent. So Leonard Maltin gave this his lowest rating, writing that, quote, even Jean-Claude Van Damme fans couldn't rationalize this bomb, end quote. Richard Harrington of the Washington Post said that the film was, quote, notable for being the last film that Raul Julia was in, an actor far too skilled for the demands of evil warlord General M. Bison, but far too professional to give anything less than his best. Look, the thing about Julia, and I keep going back to it, is he was a hell of an actor, but he didn't care. He cared, but he wanted, his kids wanted him to do this, so he said, "Sure, why not?" You know, I mean, he was set. He was not in the best of health, but he wanted to leave a legacy for not only himself, but to have some, that his kids would remember it by. Not to say they wouldn't remember him otherwise, but still. Um, Critic Stephen Holden of the New York Times referred to the film as, quote, as a dreary, overstuffed hodgepodge of poorly edited material with martial arts sequences and unintelligible dialogue. And he was right about that. Writing for Variety, Emmanuel Levy stated that the film, quote, suffered from the same problems that the impaired Super Mario Brothers did. It's noisy, overblown, effects-laden, and lacks sustained action or engaging characters. Well, I think you had so many characters there, too. Levy commented on Julia, referring to his, quote, weakest performance, accentuating each and every syllable as he was citing a Shakespeare role or great emotional range. It's too bad for an accomplished actor's last film. But see, people are going to remember him for the other things. I mean, look, they remember him from the Addams Family, right? Doing that with Victoria Houston. I mean, he's a great actor. He wanted to have fun with it. So let the critics have their, say in whatever else. So yeah, I mean, there were other things. David Hunter said of the film that it's neither satisfying martial arts exercise for Jean-Claude Van Damme, nor the most mainstream diversion. It got to be minus on CinemaScore. Okay, 11%. 11% of the critics' reviews were positive on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got a 4.0 on IMDb and a 3.4 average on Rotten Tomatoes. The website for the RT says, though it offers mild entertainment through campy one-liners and the overacting of Raul Julia, Street Fighter's nonstop action sequences are not enough to make up for a predictable, uneven storyline. I mean, it did get, for awards, it did in 2009, it topped the top 10 worst video game movie list ever. So, I mean, it tells you something, right? But here's the thing, the merchandising is huge. So they tried to do comics. Okay, 2 video games were based on the film. First was the coin-operated arcade game called Street Fighter, which we all know and love. Okay, we all know and love this game. Okay, and that's what it was based off of. And the second was the Capcom one, the movie. So this one, it was based off of this too. The other video game it was based off of. Okay, so that was done for the PlayStation and Sega Saturn. Despite sharing the same name, neither game offered. They used the same digitalized footage from the film, posing as the characters, and so in 2003 there was rumors for Street Fighter 2, which actually was going to star Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren, but never materialized. In 2009, the sequel you were talking about, The Legend of Chun-Li, is even worse than the original. So that tells you something. But I mean, it's not all, it's not all the stuff in the world like that. The reason why people like Street Fighter, which is, as you said, bad, is because the film was truly a gem. You can forgive a lot of the 90s because they were special. We loved them for that. No, I was saying that it was so bad it was good. There are films out there that are so bad they're good. I mean, this is definitely one of them. Relatively speaking, no, I totally agree. Graham Revels was the composer for the film, by the way. which I had no idea until now. His music was from Collateral Damage, Daredevil. Yeah, the score was actually one of the. As much as I'm talking about this in such a negative light, the score was actually something that was very good. Um, there wasn't much, but I mean, just the humorous things. And this film was never meant to be serious, right? This was never supposed to be serious. This was supposed to be having fun, having a good time. This is what entertainment is, right? And so, to your point, I suspect they are going to go back and do this right in a couple of years. I wouldn't be shocked in the next 5 years if we saw a Street Fighter reboot. I really wouldn't. Um, I had a great time with this movie. I really did. I thought it was fun. I thought it was campy. I thought it was a good time. And Julia did a fantastic job. Jean-Claude Van Damme did a classic job, a good job. They incorporated Capcom knew what they wanted, and they incorporated the comic bookish type of things. Um, you know, it's laughable. Um, so yeah, I don't see if Legendary does this right, which I suspect that they will. And right now, the other thing too is look at all the video game adaptations we're having, whether it's Super Mario Brothers or The Last of Us or Uncharted that just came out a couple years ago. I mean, there's so many adaptations now that you can pull from that this would work. This is right up their alley. Mortal Kombat, you were talking about earlier. This is right up their alley. So I think this would definitely work. So Street Fighter 2 was the Mortal Kombat annihilation of the franchise. Anybody who has not seen knows about Mortal Kombat annihilation. Yeah, go if you want a good time, go watch that. At least they got committed to something that just as bad or worse than that. You gotta love. Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, it could. What they could do, okay, is they could turn around and do a they could do a television series, streaming series, which wouldn't be a bad thing because we have so many streaming services today, right? Let's face it. I think that you could actually put this on. Hell, you could even put this on a Tubi. Could you imagine? Could you imagine this being on like a Tubi or a Hulu or even a Max? That would be so much fun. I don't know. I'm just spitballing, but yeah, it's the video game too is so much fun because you get to see all of these different things, and that's what everybody wants to see, right? Um, so let's see. I'm just gonna try and so it's Legendary has done a great job with the MonsterVerse. I agree with you wholeheartedly. So it could work with a much more serious tone in the town today. Definitely something that could go to toe with The Last of Us. I agree. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with that. And I think that they could do something that could rival it. I really do. Um, but you need the right. It's not a bad. You have the story there, right? You have the story there. It's just a matter of putting the pieces all together. Okay. I think you might start to see when that new Mortal Kombat movie, the second one, comes out. I think you might start to see a little more movement then. That's what I think. But we'll see. But yeah, so this one was fun. I had a fun time watching this one. Um so couple of quick notes. Because I didn't do a stream the other day, so I'm going to do 2 today. This is the first of it. I did this before, but it was really not good. So, and I didn't have my notes in front of me, so I wanted to give you guys the best quality entertainment I could. I mean, this wasn't a long movie either, so but I did want to do this for you guys. So, but that being said, it is, you know, this one is shorter, okay? And so, that being said, I have a small request, and I'm loading it right now. Here we go. So before I tell you guys what's coming up, okay? I wanted to bring this up. This isn't very, put this full screen. So this is my page, okay? And I'll see if I can't find another picture. Anyways, what I'd like you to do, okay, is go over to the homepage and hit that join button. Because what that's going to do is, first of all, it's going to help me out. But here's the thing. It's free. It's absolutely free to join. And so the first month is free, and I've made it extremely cheap for you guys. Okay, I was just trying to find the other one that's. Anyways, you know what? Let me bring this out, and I'll see if I can find the other one. So let me tell you what's coming up. Okay. So tomorrow, I can't even believe I'm going to say this, but tomorrow is starting with February 1st. And that means it's going to be a brand new perfect movie. So that means it's going to be Get Out. I'm going to be sitting down and talking about. I sat down and watched this the other day. I had seen it before, but I wanted to see it again to actually talk about it. And boy, I had a blast. It was so good. And it was so good on so many different levels. So it looks like I don't have that. Oh, maybe that's that one. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it was so good on so many different levels that I wanted to do it as a perfect movie. And let's see if this is it. There we go. There we go. See, I knew I had it. So I'm going to load this in. But yeah, I had an absolute blast sitting down to watch this again. And bear with me, guys. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. This, excuse me. This is the membership page. And as you can see, I've made it extremely cheap for everybody. Okay. Now this first month is totally free. Okay. Let me actually. Quick question: are you going to do more retrospectives for classic films, for classic anniversaries, such as that? Yes. So hold on right now, and I will. I have. Hold on for just a minute. I want to show you something. So with me, Okay, I have a whole list of you can't see this or not too well. Let me remove this. But I have a so I have a whole. It's not really going to show up. So I wrote down at the beginning of the year. I wrote down films that I were good. So perfect movie was going to be that. So I wrote down like pairings. Okay, so Natural Born Killers and Any Given Sunday because they were all Stone films. I have movies like G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra. I have Saw. I have Nightmare on Elm Street. I am doing Batman 1989. Okay, I'm coupling that with the Joker. Joker, the film that 2019. Street Fighter, which of course we're just doing right now. Okay, Ghostbusters. I'm going to be doing The Karate Kid, Whiplash, Terminator, all these films. I have so many, Phantom Menace, which is turning 25 this year. Red Dawn, another film from 1984. Gremlins, Charlie's Angels, the one we just had a couple of years ago. I just did Temple of Doom. If you want to go back and watch an Indiana Jones retrospective, go back. I just put up about last week, 4 or 5 days ago. I put up Temple of Doom. That's there. Dark Waters, Miracle, Equalizer, Glory. I have Love of the Game. I have so many films. I have a list of about 40 or 50 films that I have ready to go for you guys that I'm going to sit down and watch during the course of this year, and that's going to help me out. Black History Month, though, is all going to be about, as I said, Get Out, In the Heat of the Night, He Got Game, all these different films by African American filmmakers, because I want to celebrate them too. And so I have a ton of those ready to go for you guys. I'm gonna, sit down. Black Panther, 42, all that stuff. That's going to be, and for the streams, we're going to talk about like filmmakers and directors and actors, Sidney Poitier and Denzel Washington and Jordan Peele and Spike Lee. That's all going to be for February. March, okay, is all going to be about Marvel. It's going to be Marvel March. So I'm going to take the 8 best Marvel films, in my opinion, and I'm going to sit down and watch those, and then we're going to walk through those, regardless of what year they came out. But this is, to your point, where I am going to be doing a lot more. Also, if you want, I should say this too. If you want me to do a personalized retrospective, so let's say there's a film out there that you love, just it is your favorite film, and maybe I've never heard of it before. Okay, drop me a message on Twitter or drop me a message here on chat. Okay, I am going to charge you for it though. It's going to be $25. But what I will do, okay, is I will sit down, I will watch the movie in its entirety, I will take notes, and I will do a personalized video for you. Okay, so you're going to be doing that. So, which all goes back, because I am trying to make this a full-time job, which all does go back to the memberships. The memberships are the most important thing, guys. Okay, right now they are absolutely free. Okay, everybody who pops in, just even for a few minutes, the way you can really support me is a couple different ways. Okay, number one, hit that like and subscribe button, because that tells me you are enjoying the content. Okay, leave a comment. What did you like about Street Fighter? What didn't you like? What did you like about Temple of Doom? What did you like about anything else? Okay, because that tells me you're watching the videos. Okay, the other thing too is I made these extremely cheap. Okay, $2.99 a month. That's a gallon of gas. All the way up to $10 a month. I just had one of the absolute most loyal members, my only member actually right now. I'm trying to get more. Deadpool. He's been with me from the start. He just re-upped for 7 months, and I love him to death. Speaking of, oh, it didn't send you a notification. That's strange. Okay, so I would say check your notifications to make sure it's on all instead of selected. Just to double check on that. But yeah, as a matter of fact, Deadpool's here. He just re-upped for 7 months. I need your help, guys. I want to bring you the absolute best content I can. The only way I can do this, okay, is if you hit that like and subscribe button, you become a member, or you become a sub. And that way you never miss a video or a live stream. So, Watchmen, Terminator Salvation, Rise of Skywalker, Dark Fate, RoboCop, Shazam, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Last Blood. Okay, so of those that you just named, Antonius, I'm going to do I'm going to do Phantom Menace. I'm going to do Rise of Skywalker because that's turning 5 this year. Okay, I've already done. If you go back, and I'll probably end up doing it again. If you go back under my perfect movies, okay, I have one of my perfect movies is Captain America: Winter Soldier. I'll probably be doing it again though because it is a perfect movie in my opinion. Ghostbusters 2, yeah, good luck with that. But I will do Ghostbusters. I am going to do Ghostbusters for you guys, 1984. So that's definitely something there. So many more to choose from. Really glad that you're doing Charlie's Angels from 2000. I love that movie, and it is good and underrated. I love Chris. She's so hot in that. I love Kristen. What I do want to watch Spencer. That's a film I've been meaning to sit down and watch, and I have not gotten around to. She got nominated for the Academy Award. I can't wait to see that, but because that tells me she's got range, right? She did Camp X-Ray too. I have not seen that either. I've been dying to see that. So some more Van Damme films. I might do, depending on, I might do, a film that I really do like from Van Damme, and it's actually a biopic-ish type of film, is Bloodsport. I love Bloodsport. I love Bloodsport. Everyone being a subscriber and liking, yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. It is absolutely free, and that tells me you're enjoying the content. Spencer is phenomenal. Yeah, I'm so wanting to see Spencer. I can't wait for that. But guys, this is the kind of content. And don't forget, I also am going to be covering all of the new movies too. There's something else to be said. I mean, we've got Doom that's coming out in like 6 weeks. I can't wait for Doom. I'm going to sit down and actually at the end of February, before Doom 2 comes out, I am going to be sitting down and watching. I am going to be doing a retrospective on Doom, okay, and walking through that to get ready for Doom 2. And then we've got the Oscars coming up the 10th of March, which I'll definitely be covering with, be doing a pre and post show on that. We're going to be I'll be doing a post show on the Super Bowl. So I have all this stuff coming up. Not to mention if I can grab in interviews here and there, which I may have 1 or 2 lined up. We'll see. And on top of all of this, guys, on top of all of that, I am trying to put together a brand new show called Anatomy of a Movie. I have the outline. I just have to sit down and watch it. I'm trying to figure out a couple of things with it. And it's basically going to be talking about the themes of the movie, whether it is Silence of the Lambs and Strong Women, or Star Wars and all these different, or just the trilogies and all these different things. That's what you're going to be getting on this channel, is all of this stuff. So $10 a month is nothing. It is nothing in the grand scheme of things. You can't get all this stuff. I mean, you pay $10 for Max, but really, another perfect movie recommended, The Iron Giant. Okay, I'll definitely look into that. Yeah, so that's everything I have so much stuff coming up on the channel for you guys. It's definitely, definitely, definitely insane. But okay, so I wanted to come back on and actually do this because, the first time I did it, I didn't have my notes in front of me. So um, that is Street Fighter. I had an absolute ball watching it. And I'm going to actually come back on in probably, I don't know, a couple of hours. Okay. And I'm going to do Any Given Sunday. And I know that's turning 25 too, right? So, phenomenal movie, stacked cast, and an Oliver Stone film. But yeah, so I'm just gonna wait for this to download, and I'm gonna put this up probably in the next hour or so. So, excuse me, I will tweet out. So the best way to know when I'm gonna be doing the streams is to go to Twitter, hit that like and hit that follow me there so you can see what times the tweets are. Oh, I had a blast watching it. Yes, it is really excellent. And there's so many different things and themes about that I'm going to be talking about. So, but okay, guys. So that's going to do it for this. Um, so what I would say is take care of yourself, and I will see you back here in a couple of hours. And that's going to do it for me and this particular film. So do the 3 things that you need to do. Be safe, take care of yourself, and have a great rest of the afternoon. And I will see you guys later. Oh, to your last thing, yes, I am going to do it. I am going to do Godfather 2. Okay, guys, I'll see you back here in a couple hours. Take care of yourself. I'm David Steele, and you have been watching Real Talks. Bye-bye, guys.